Welcome to Barcelona for Season 4 of the Penguin RC Simulations NASA, not Rallycross, I almost said Rallycross there, Sportscar Challenge here from Barcelona. I am Chad Irvine here with the first ever champion of this series, Ray Kingsbury. Ray, thanks for joining me in the booth today.
Yeah, Chad, it should be a fun one. This is the first time we've been to Barcelona, and it's the season opener. We've got, it looks like 25 or 26 cars looking to set some laps here and grid themselves for this first event of the season. Yeah,
something a little different in this race. You know, we can call it a happy accident. Open qualifying, as you see, something new that we haven't done yet in the series to go along with that. You know, new track. New format as well, right? What's different than last year?
Yeah, last year in the last 3 seasons, we ran a 15-minute sprint race followed by a 45-minute feature. So an hour of racing, but it was broken up, and that 15-minute sprint race was always a lot of fun. And it didn't count for much in terms of points, but it did set the grid for that feature, and the top 8 was always inverted. So it always led to some good action. This time around, we've got an hour-long feature race, and that's it. And there's going to be some pit stop strategy in there, and that was something the drivers really wanted to see. So I'm interested to see how it's going to turn out.
Yeah, fuel will be limited in these cars to mandate a pit stop for everybody in the field, a 1-hour timed race as well. Let's take a look real quick. It looks like Christian Challenger has a bunch of clean air on that track. He is the three-time defending champion of this series, winning basically everything that Ray Kingsbury did not. He had some really good battles last season as well, but that is a really good looking car there for Christian Challenger and Team iRacing.
Well, Chad, you just took away my championship, I guess, because you said he won 3 in a row.
I thought this was season... Okay, yeah, he was 2-time. I can't count. Numbers are hard.
Yeah, he did win both the championships in the GT3 cars. That is correct. The only ones he did not win were season 1 in the GTEs, which I managed to win, and was it season 2? Was it Michael Janney that won in the Ferrari for Renovo in the GT class, and Challenger won that one in the GT3, what was technically called the AM class, which was far from an AM class.
I'll say that AM class featured some drivers like Jimmy Mullis and a couple of Zack Novak. Some really talented drivers made their way over to the series, and now we've got you know Christian. We've talked about on the broadcast before. He's actually part of the iRacing staff. That's why he's racing under the Team iRacing banner. He actually makes the setups for these cars. And publishes them into the sim for everybody who's making the iRacing baseline setups. So he's very familiar with these cars as he comes around working on his first flying lap. These guys absolutely making a mess of things as Tim Brokaw goes to the top, and then Michael Janney takes that right away. Taylor Carroll up there as well. So these guys starting to see their lap times come in. Going to be fun to watch this next 10-ish minutes of qualifying plus the 1-hour race. It's definitely been exciting the last 3 seasons, and now we're here in season number 4, 2021C. And Ray, you've been around NASA for quite some time. Can I just talk about the growth of not only this series itself, but the organization as a whole? Because it started out as just Rallycross.
Yeah, I think you would describe NASA when I first joined it as a bunch of good old boys wanted to play some video games, and that's kind of like the mentality that I think we still take to it, but adding just a little bit of seriousness to it, because while we do all come to have fun, it's not fun if somebody's ruining the fun for other people. So, you know, that mutual respect is a big part of this, and that's kind of where that little bit of professionalism comes every so often. Yeah. Christian's finishing up his first lap here. See where he comes out.
Final corner coming up to the line. He was P2 in practice, and this lap comes in less than half a tenth off of Michael Janney. he's got some room to improve, and he's getting everything out of that race car. We're gonna have to see if he can't work his way up to the top spot. But yeah, talking about the series, though, you talked about it's a bunch of guys having fun. It started as a rallycross league in NASCAR Racing 2003 with modded tracks and stuff, and now we've grown to have iRacing Rallycross, and then from there last year, end of 2020, we started our first sports car campaign, and now joining the fray, we're going to have some championship cars, some Indy cars. I don't know if we're allowed to use that term or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. We're going to have some Indy cars joining the fray.
Yeah, I mean, I was really shocked when we started this sports car challenge, what was known as GT Americas for its first 2 seasons. A lot of different organizations jumped on to sponsor races in different parts of the championship, and it really was well attended. I think we had 60 cars at our first race in GTEs, and it was looking really good for the 3rd season with the GT, or the 2nd season with the GT3s and the GTEs, but attendance does tend to, trickle off a little bit. So now we're full on with the GT3s, and I liked the GTEs. I really was a fan of the Corvette, so if the Corvette ever gets homologated down to GTD, you'll probably see me out there with these guys again.
Well, speaking of you can't kill the cones, Christian. What are you doing, man? Someone has to go out there and replace that.
Lodged in the nose of his car. I guess he's gonna have to pit. That's a lot of drag. Trust me, I just got one caught on my wing today at the Mount Washington hill climb in my LMP2. Yes, I was hill climbing in LMP2 because why not?
I mean, hey, it's a game, and everybody has to treat it like it sometimes. I mean, you've seen the shenanigans that me and my friends do, so it's always a fun time, and looks like somebody had to take a tow. Not sure who that was. That was the 93 of Justin Robichaux. So he had to take it to the pits. He's currently sitting 18th, but he's got a lot of room to improve, especially compared to where he was in the open practice session. So Janny has set a new fastest lap of the session at a 1:45.517. So what was a half a tenth of a second gap to Challoner is now up to almost or just over a quarter of a second. But both of those guys have a large gap back to third Austin Espedy, with who's over a second behind. There were a bunch of guys that were a lot closer in the free practice session.
Yeah, there were. Mark Torres was pretty far up there, and then it was Austin, Kevin, Seth, and Matt. And I think Matt hasn't really got a ton of laps under his belt for this track. He's been focusing a lot on the IndyCar and Rallycross round 1. So I think, honestly, as he comes to the end of qualifying here, you're probably going to see Matt closer to the front of the qualifying field. I think the struggle is, though, that these cars, the first 3-4 laps are decent on tires, but you don't want to overheat them. But the first lap and a half, the tires are too cold. So you got to kind of judge it right and have enough fuel and all that. And, it can be difficult with traffic if they impede your laps. So I'm sure we'll see some more people come to the front. Taylor's having a good run going. I'm sure he was going to want to hang on to that 4th place, and Kevin as well in 5th. Those are our 2 highest AM class entries.
Yeah, speaking of Matt Kingsbury, he holds a record here as well. He is the only driver to ever receive a rest of season ban in any NASA series, as far as I'm aware of. Absolutely racking up the incident points 2 seasons ago, I believe it was, over back when it was the GT Americas. Other records to note: Christian Challoner, all-time wins leader in the series with 15, followed by Michael Janney with only 4. Those are the feature wins. We don't have the feature versus sprint anymore. So the sprint wins as they're going to stay for the remainder of at least this season, if not going forward, is going to be Christian Challoner with 8 sprint wins, then Philip Kraus with 5, David Busch with 5 as well. Constructor wins, Team iRacing with 9. Manufacturer wins, BMW leads that with 10. I think a lot of those were Christian Challoner 2 seasons ago. He was in the Audi last season. And then the United States driver nationality wins 22, United Kingdom 15, and then Canada with 3, Bulgaria and Panama both with 1. Sprint Cup, only 1 driver ever actually took that championship. Is only counted 1 time, and that was yours truly, Ray Kingsbury. So, Ray, you got your name in the record books a couple of times as well. definitely been a fun couple of seasons here in the booth. I took a season off, but it's good to be back here with you guys, and it's good to be, driving. You'll see me on Mondays making a fool of myself.
Well, we're currently on board with Christian Challoner. He's going through Renault, and he's heading into Repsol here. You can see the Repsol banner there, hence why it's called Repsol. He's flashing his lights because he wants clean track. He wants to catch Michael Janney. And there are Michael Janney's two teammates, Cody Crossgrove and Steve Lane. I'm not saying there's team orders, but they are certainly in his way during his lap. It looks like a pretty clean lap here on out for Christian. Let's see if he can get that time back. And we were talking about Matt earlier, probably moving up the board, and there he is in third.
And we have he just got bumped down to fourth. Mark Torres goes up to P2 in the Lamborghini. So he turns in a 145.701. It's good enough for P2 at the moment. Just about 3.5 minutes left in the session. And man, these guys absolutely flying out there. Times are coming down. Track temperature is 100 degrees, ambient 76. Pretty gusty out there, though. 14-mile-an-hour winds as well. Gusting up to 15 now out of the east. For reference, that's going to be coming over the left shoulder, kind of pushing the car as they go down this long front straightaway here at Barcelona. And Ray, you're a very skilled driver in these things, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons. Christian Challoner goes back to P2. What does the wind play much of a factor in these cars?
It doesn't play as much of a factor in the GT3s as it did on the GTEs and even like an open wheel car. Just because there's a little less aero on them. They're a little heavier. They're a little slower in the corners. So what you'll find with, yeah, it'll affect like braking points and stuff. But what you'll find in like the GTE cars is like, say at like Coda or Barber, when you're on a high-speed corner, like maybe the S is at Coda, and there's a wind pushing from one side to the other. It really changes your angle of attack and your braking, your lifting points, and even your line, because it'll make some corners easier to go through because it's pushing against the car in that direction, and others more difficult because it's going to push you, wide of the apex. So yeah, it plays a difference, Chad. These GT3s maybe not so much. Maybe in the McLaren it's a little worse, a little more of a edgy car. Well, we'll let Christian use that excuse.
This is a look at the 33 of Tuan Vanderbilt, one of the newer drivers to this series. Currently down in 22nd, and he's on a flying lap right now, trying to make up as much ground as he can. And a very, very loud paint scheme there for... is that Area 52 design?
Yeah, Sequential Sim Sports.
Sequential Sim Sports, that's right.
It's a very nice looking car. I love that paint splatter design.
You know me, the louder the colors, the more it pops, the better. So I'm definitely a fan of all of those cars. Challoner, by the way, jumps to the top of the charts, finding 0.2 of more than he picked up about 0.4 of a second there on that last lap. 145.338. He's up almost 0.2 over Michael Janney. Janney was in the pits. I don't think he's going to have time to get back out there and get back around. Yeah, he's just now leaving the pit road.
Yeah, I did notice that lap, Chad. A lot of heat started to leave the track. We're down to 100 degrees ambient temp on the racing surface. And now 99. It's ticking down. I noticed a few laps ago it was something like 109. So if a driver is on the track starting their flyer around now, this could be a good opportunity to jump up a few positions.
Yeah, it's the mostly cloudy skies, I think, that are causing the temperature to drop. It's only 2:15 virtual standard time here in Barcelona. So typically you see the track temperatures going up and up and up. And now as we tick down the last couple of seconds here in qualifying, we've got only a couple of drivers left out there on track to take their flying lap. But at the end of qualifying, just got to wait for a couple of guys to come across the line. Looks like next is Jules Milani, another new driver to the series. And then 03 is Brian Sohn with Penguin RC. Appreciate Brian and all the simulation, all the sponsorship that he provides for the series. He finishes up his lap. A couple of more drivers. Looks like there's 2 or 3 left out on track. Next is going to be Steve Lane crossing the line in the 66. And he's got some work to do. He's right in front of his teammate as well, Michael Janney. Both of those guys going to finish out their laps, and I believe Kieran Big Dog Forrest is going to be the last one to take the checkered flag.
Is Big Dog out there? I see Austin Espity as one of the last cars on the track. He's a couple corners behind him. Yeah, and Austin's P4, you know, I think he let's see if he jumps anyone. He's just off Mark. Well, not just off. He's about a second behind.
And there you see Kieran Big Dog Forrest across the line for the final time here in qualifying, as this is now the number 7 machine of Austin S. But you're going to see if he can improve on his 146.557. See, across the line. Where does that place him?
He improves, but not enough.
Yep, it is faster. 146.213. Good enough to hold him there in the 4th position. But I believe that is just about everybody on track. Yeah, because Jules is coming around and he is already finished.
Unless 50 seconds left until it ticks over, so they have 50 seconds to finish their lap.
Yeah, these guys are just, I think, getting more practice at this point. I think that they have all turned in their times. Jules right now, 21st coming through, and he's going to bring it into pit lane. Yeah, so that's going to wrap up qualifying here. And this is a very fun race to watch, a very fun season. Shout out to Japanese TCR in the chat, the Sequential Sim Sport guys representing in the chat, cheering on their team. And yeah, let us know who you're wanting to cheer on there in the chat, everybody, because these guys are getting ready to put on a fantastic show here in the Penguin RC Sim Sports Simulations Sports Car Championship. But qualifying is in the books. Christian Challoner with yet another pole position here as we take you through the grid. On row number 1 is Christian Challoner with Michael Janney to the outside, then Mark Torres and Austin Espity, Matt Kingsbury and Vincent Herbier with Taylor Carroll and Kevin Fanning 7th and 8th. Row number 5 is Cody Erdman and Jack Belton.
David Schofield is P11. He's partnered with Cody Cosgrove, followed by Seth Rawls, Tim Brokaw, Tuan Vanderbilt, Steve Lane, Brian Sohn, Ben Moynier, Curtis Critchley, Kieran Forrest, the Big Dog, Jules Milani, Trace Hodges, Kevin Morin, Mr. Dennis, I'm not going to try to pronounce your first name. I will have to ask you about it. Justin Robichaux, and then Jonathan Diggs taking up the rear of the field. Chad, who's your pick for winning this thing?
I mean, you already know who it's going to be. He's going to start on pole, but he's also a really good friend of mine. I've known him longer than I've really been on iRacing. Know him actually through non-racing related stuff, so I have to go with the number 1 of Christian Challoner. What do you think?
I want to pick Christian, but I drove the McLaren last season, Chad, and I know if you touch the grass wrong on that thing, it can kill you. I have to go with Janney in the Porsche. I think it's going to remain more consistent over the stint. Yeah.
And there you see drivers taking to the grid. Only a couple cars left to slot in before the pace car gets rolling. And they're gonna, it's basically about half of a, not even half, like a quarter of a lap in terms of pacing here. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. We've had some issues under pacing pre-race before. The most notable one to me, I believe, was at Road of Atlanta a couple years ago, where about 5 or 6 drivers got into incidents before taking to the grid. Or before taking the green flag. So we're going to have to see how this plays out. But thankfully, there's no class differential that we have to worry about people trying to gain the start. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure, as Christian Challoner leads the field through the chicane. and through one more corner before we get set to go racing here. Those cars start to file their way down. And
it is a bit tight in the back.
Corner. Yeah, the guys are very spread out further back in the field as they try to catch up, waiting for the green. And there it is. We are underway in the 2021 C campaign here in the NASA Sportscar Challenge presented by Nitro Circus. And going into turn number 1, it's going to be Christian Chandler out in front, and is going to keep everybody going to keep things clean behind him. So far, so good. As Christian
Torres has jumped up to second.
Yeah, great start there by Mark Torres in that 6 machine. Gonna have to see how this race plays out. It's only lap 1, and it's a new format like we talked about, a 1-hour race, a little bit different than what we've seen from this series in the past.
We do see 3 different blue cars up there, all those kinetic racing cars. We've got a Lamborghini, a BMW, and a Ferrari. So they're not scored as the same constructor, but they are teammates.
You know, I'm not sure that I agree with that rule. I think that they're teammates. They should be treated as such. I'm gonna take that one up with the admins. About 2-car length lead though for Challoner over Torres, and then Janney back in third. Very late on the brakes there was Torres, but unable to get the move, make a move there. Just stays in line with Janney breathing down his neck as well. A couple of drivers had a little mishap earlier, but no harm, no foul. They're back underway. Just a little gap back to the field that involves the number 67 of Cody Cosgrove, as well as the 42 of Mr. Big Dog Forrest himself.
Do you think they can get a run on Christian going into turn 1? Pretty long straight here. Personally, I wouldn't want to be too close to the back of that McLaren. It does shoot flames.
It's going to be interesting to see if they can. They're pretty far back, about 3.5 car lengths back of Christian. They do get the slipstream down the stretch. But yeah, both of those cars involved in the wreck. That was the 67 and 42. But they seem to be rolling and back under power. They do just have about a 6-second gap to Robichaud, who is currently in the 24th position. And there's a look at the 21 of Matt Kingsbury, and just lost a spot to Vincent Hervier. So he's qualified in 5th, dropped down to 6th at the moment, and he's got some work to do, as there's already a gap building from your front 3 back to Austin Espety, currently running P4.
Yeah, we do see that front 3 breaking away. Christian's out in front of that group. Mark is hanging on there in the slip. Michael's looking pretty racy, though. I'm looking for him to make a move for 2nd position in that Porsche. You can definitely see how much later the Porsche can get on the brakes than the Lamborghini.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we've talked about year in and year out in these cars is how late you can be on the brakes, and the differences between them. By the way, something has happened to Steve Lane as well. He's got a bunch of damage to the nose of his race car in the 66, so he definitely got into the back of somebody early on, and might have been part of that incident that we were talking about just a little bit ago. But for the most part, it seems things are fairly clean. By the way, I want to take a look at Jack Belton, currently running in P9. We talk about the loud cars and how I like the bright colors. That thing has some pop to it.
Yeah, that is the new look for the Spark cars. We kind of thought that up for the Rallycross, thinking let's do something different. And Brandon and I have been carrying it over to the other cars as well. I really liked I kind of want to call it lemon lime.
I'm definitely getting Sprite vibes going from it. Something that I have to mention though, Ray, there's not enough triangles on that car for it to be a Spark car.
Yeah, we're trying to move away from those overlapping hexagons. Everybody's starting to copy our vibe, so we're starting a new one again.
So you'll see a bunch of different teams running similar liveries here in the series. Of course, you can recognize the Spark ones. It's got Spark all over that race car. as well. Taylor Carroll and his team with Matt Kingsbury. I can't remember who their other drivers are.
Robichaux and I believe Seth is partnered with them as well.
Yeah, they're all running the shark teeth, and somebody is around trying to get
one of the KMR Warrior cars.
That's the 461. Yeah, of Mounier, and that's unfortunate.
He's still around.
Yeah, he had to wait for the field to come by. He finally gets it, makes a 3-point turn and gets it around. By the way, yeah, it's something that caricature.
Oh, we got another wreck
in chat, and wow, everybody's going around now.
The other KMR cars around. Kevin Morin.
Not a great start to the season for those KMR racing machines. But yeah, nice to see Jack Belton doing so well in his return. Of course, we remember Jack, was it last season or 2 seasons ago, that was diagnosed with cancer and had to drop out of the season. But great to see him back out on track, and welcome back, Jack. That's all I have to say on that one, man. It's great to see him back out here.
Yeah, it really is. We do have a few other cars with damage. I noticed Seth Rawls had picked up some rear end damage at some point. Don't know who gave that to him. He also had some front end damage, so my guess is there was a little bit of a chain effect. And Brian Sohn's Audi has a bent rear diffuser on it, but the rest of his car is looking a-okay. So yeah, and I also noticed Steve Lane's car as well, and Cody Crosby. So there was something that happened, Chad, and we missed it. Because that's a lot of cars with damage.
It's just attrition, you know. It's a 50. We got 53 minutes left in this race, and they're just kind of making it interesting for themselves, you know. Of course, there are no fast repairs here in the series. Don't want to make it too easy for these guys, but Christian Chandler now feeling more pressure from Michael Janey. Those two have pulled about 3/4 of a second out in front of Mark Torres. He's got some work to do to catch back up to him, or he's going to be feeling Austin Espedy behind him here in a couple of laps as well. There you can see the gap looking out the back of Michael Janey. Or sorry, that's out the back of Christian Chandler, breathing the flames. Be careful there. You don't want to burn up your the nose of your car, Michael, if you're you know, it's race 1 of the season. You only get so many fresh cars throughout the season.
You know, Chad, I wrapped Christian's car this morning, and I was thinking I better make sure the back of his car is black, because otherwise he's going to burn the back bumper up, and you won't be able to see anything of the design that's on the back. So I made it mostly black. Definitely was the reason. For
throwing that together in basically a day, it's better than anything I do. You've seen my meme liveries that always look fantastic. Chandler, though, now going
Did you paint the 97 car by any chance? It looks like your colors.
Let's take a look here. No, that's is that Team Watson Racing, I believe?
I believe it is. It's your boys.
Yeah, that is those. I do run with Team Watson Racing over on the Rallycross side. Of course, their leader James Watson not running in this series, as we have a car off track. That's Brian Sohn.
Oh no, that's not the racing surface, Brian.
But he gets back out underway. Didn't hit anything, just ran a little bit wide. Yeah, Team Watson Racing, I believe they have 2 drivers that are running this season.
Yeah, I thought I saw 2. I'm not sure who the second one is, or if they're here. But Curtis having a decent run. He's not got a little bit of nose damage, but mostly a clean car up in P15. That's, you know, that's up a he was starting near the back. I believe he moved up about 5 spots. So
Jason Wellwood is going to be his teammate. He is not in the session here tonight. But he is the second driver there for Team Watson Racing. But look at the battle for the lead. We got to go back to a Christian Chandler all over Michael, or is feeling a lot of pressure here from Michael Janey. These guys, this is the closest, I think, down the front stretch that Janey's been in a couple of laps. And Josh, shout out to you in chat. Good day to you as well. It's a fantastic one here, and we are grateful to be racing once again here in the NASA Sports Car Challenge. Presented by Penguin RC and Nitro Circus.
We did have a position change in the top 10. David Schofield overtook his teammate Jack Belton in those Spark Ferraris. David's up 2 positions, so he's moving forward. Jack's right on him, though. So a decent race for both of them. Interested to see if they can climb any higher up. I know those Ferraris are super stable, so maybe there's some long run speed in them.
And by the way, you'll see the colors next to driver numbers over on the left side of the ticker. Christian Chandler running in the McLaren, of course, has that papaya orange next to his name. Seemed fine. Michael Janney, the black, is the Porsche. And then, of course, green is the Lamborghini. Ferrari, of course, they're running the red. Blue, BMW. And I think silver is that Audi, I believe?
Yes.
So that is something, a little tidbit there for you guys watching home. If you want to try to figure out what somebody is driving, just take a look at the timing and scoring and see where they, what color they show up as. So Christian Chandler led every lap so far, just crossing over the 10-minute mark of today's race. And these guys battled pretty hard every single week last season that they were both there. So definitely going to be fun to watch this season between the two of them. Michael Janney, after the way last season ended up, he was hungry for a championship, and he was right there coming down to the last race. So, yeah, Christian Chandler, of course, the three-time champion. Three? Two? Two.
Two.
I don't know why I keep saying three, but...
Yeah, we got Michael, one-time champion, and then we got...
Yep, I think that I'm mixing up. I'm just getting
Christian,
confused.
two-time champion.
Yep, because I'm just getting it confused because we used to have two champions in different classes.
They were co-champions essentially.
Correct. Yes.
Last year they were coming in as co-champions.
That's right.
I do feel a little bad. I wrote Michael into running the McLaren with me last season, and it was not his favorite car. Okay, I'm being truthful. I think he really hated it, but he was very kind to run it with me. This Porsche, it suits him well. He ran it in the GTE before switching to the Ferrari for his championship season, but I know he always preferred the Porsche. The Ferrari just worked out really well for him that season. So he's looking competitive. I would not be surprised to see a championship run from Michael Janney.
And that's one thing to note as well. Drivers are able to make one manufacturer change per season, but they do lose all of their points when they do so. So if you really want to compete for the championship, it's a little late to be making that kind of switch. But if you guys are some of the guys further back, if you end up 3 or 4 races in and not liking how your car feels, you can always make the switch one time per season into something, try something a little different, see how it runs, and just get out there and drive.
All right, Chad, one thing we have not talked about this race, and it's coming about that time now. We've got about 75% of the race left, and we're using about 75% fuel. The pit window is about to open. So, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but I think we're going to start seeing some strategy. Some people are going to start coming down the pit saying, I'm in traffic. I'm stuck behind some guys who I don't want to be stuck behind. Let me get in there and get a little bit of fuel to go to the end. And some clean track, more importantly.
Yeah, if you're some of the guys up front, if you're Michael Janney, you're going to be thinking about the undercut. But I feel like both of these guys up front, here comes a move for the lead. He's to the inside, but I don't think he's going to be able to get the run off the corner here. No, the next corner is to the left as well, so that's going to give Christian the inside line there. And he's going to get back clear. Michael Janney very slow on entry. Can he get the run on exit? No, he's still going to maintain about 3 or 4 car length lead back. And you can just see how much he closes in on that Porsche under braking to the back flame spitters of the McLaren. Absolutely flying these guys are out there. Christian Chandler and Michael Janney already 3.5 seconds over Mark Torres in the 3rd spot. You can see the gap building there. But further back in the field, let's see. Let's look back to Matt Kingsbury. He's got a lot of guys falling in behind him, leading just a freight train from about 5th on back to probably say 12th. Tim Brokaw. The battle for 10th is heating up and running very wide there. Is there damage on that race car? The way it's wiggling makes me unsure.
Cody?
That is the 52 of Cody Irvine. Yeah, just went wide and kind of wiggling when he was way offline.
It could have just been dirty tires, but he was way off the road. There is a little damage on that right front fender. I don't know if he hit a wall.
And that's his teammates around too.
Oh, he had a little contact with the 17 of Jack Belton. That was Cody. He pushed a little wide off the apex.
That was Tuan Vanderbilt you just saw around as well. But yeah, the battle for the lead still rages on. I feel like both of these guys are just going to try to push it as far as they can. Janney might pit 1 or 2 laps earlier, but Tuan Vanderbilt, now he is going to be the first taker down pit road. Might have some damage from his spin as well, and it might get fixed, but the window is open. So he's going to take 4 fresh, I'd say Pirelli, Michelin's. I don't really know what these cars run in terms of tires, but 4 fresh donuts on that car, and he's going to be back underway here probably in the next couple of seconds if he's back rolling once again. So first taker down pit road is Tuan Vanderbilt. Oh, an absolute cone murder, by the way, between Challoner and Janney. Both of them running wide. Janney got 2, if not 3 tires into the dirt on last corner exit. So it just shows how hard these guys are pushing. That's why the gap is opened up to what it is right now. And I think that can give you a sigh of relief if you're Christian Challoner, just seeing that car a little bit smaller now in his rearview mirror.
So there's a few different schools of thought going into this fuel strategy, and I guess like track strategy or whatever you want to call it, pit strategy. You get pit early, you get into that clean air. Okay, that's always a good thing if you can run faster laps than being behind someone. The issue with that is you're adding fuel, so your car's going to be heavier than the cars that are on track still. Because in theory, you want to run as long as you can with the lightest car as you can, because that's what's going to make you faster. These are endurance cars, so the tire fall off is pretty negligible over a course of a run, and you're not going to change them anyways, because that takes time, and you're not going to sit there for 25 seconds to get a new fresh set of Pirellis. So I don't know if you're going to see a lot of guys coming down early. You might see it like they might undercut a little, but I don't think you're going to see a 10 lap or 11 lap undercut.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for some of these guys, you talked about having clean track. If you're, in that train from 5th on back to about 12th, you might be able to get some clean track, but really the only guys that pit from here are from Brian Stone and 15th on back to the back of the field. Those are the only guys really that would get benefit from clean racetrack. Otherwise, you're going to come out in a big group of cars.
Oh, Vincent LaJavier is off.
Have to see. Oh, he collected the barrier there, it looks like, as well. And somebody else spun there as well.
Yeah, Vince got loose on entry. He didn't hit the wall hard enough to do any damage, it looks like. If there is, it's very negligible.
Yeah,
maybe a tiny bit of skirt damage.
That was Cody Erdman that was involved, that went around there as well. So these guys all over the track right now. I mean, it's race 1, just kind of getting the nerves out of the way. I think, you get a fresh race car for the next race, so you don't need to worry about bidding this one, but you want to make it as far as you can before you do that.
Yeah, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, Chad, but I did notice the sun start to come out, and I'm looking at my weather forecast, and it's only reading as partly cloudy now. And the ambient track temp has gone up to 109 now, so that could have something to do with it. Maybe the sun came out real quick and heated up that track. I know that's a slick corner right there, so maybe that had a little bit to do with a couple of those guys getting caught out.
Yeah, we saw a big cloud come over the track about a lap or 2 ago, but then that went away and the sun came right back with a vengeance as the gap is open now to 3/4 of a second. Another taker down pit road.
That's Cody.
That's Cody Erdman, yeah. So he's going to get. He's probably going to take some tires here. I think that just overheating them from that half spin that he did is going to make things a little difficult. Because this track does not give you a lot of opportunities to cool your tires back down after a spin.
I don't think he's going to take the tires. I think just sitting there for 10 seconds is enough to cool them. It takes 30 seconds to take tires, so I'd be shocked if we have any takers on tires. I guess that could be an interesting rule. Mandatory tire change. I didn't say how many tires.
Right. I've definitely seen that play in as well in races in leagues that I've broadcasted where they do have, things like that. And you'll see guys taking 1 tire, taking 2 tires, doing whatever they can to get as little time stationary as possible. By the way, the gap is closed rapidly. Janney took off about 0.4 of a second the last lap. cutting the gap in half. So now it's only about 4/10 between them. And look how much wider Janney gets on corner exit, all the way to the gravel trap there on the exit of the final corner. But down this long straightaway using the slipstream, and he's going to be right up on that back wing of Christian Challoner here as they go into turn number 1.
There is a line of cars also behind Big Dog Forest, about 7 cars behind him. Cody Crosgrove and Kevin Morin are having a little bit of a scrap right now. Pretty close between them, and Jonathan Diggs up right in front of them. They're single file now, but they were making some moves and some looks quite a bit ago. They just come out of New Holland now, and they're looking down the main straight here. They're heading into turn 1. That's known as Elf.
And this is looking at Kevin Morton. Trevor Teal with the rage. Shout out to you, Trevor. This is Kevin Morin making the move on the inside. He's going to get past the 04 of Jonathan Diggs without any issue there in turn number 1. Now up in front of him, the next car is that Robichaux, who's got some damage to his race car, it looks like, and he was very wide there through turn number 3.
All right, Chad, so we're sitting here at almost just short of halfway. Let's ask the fans, who's your favorite livery or paint scheme that you see so far out in that field?
Say this isn't the Nitro Circus Summer Series, so we don't have a prize to give out per se for these guys for the best livery, but I mean, we can still, tell you who looks good. I think my personal favorite. Okay, Trevor Teal jumps in with Cody having one of the best. His team cars in general all look good with that paint splatter. And there's a look at it. Currently pretty far back in the field, but he is one of the 2 drivers that have made their pit stop so far. I'd say other nominees, I have to give one to the Sprite Spark car of Jack Belton.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I'm a little biased, but I also like Christian Challoner's. Whoever painted that did such a good job.
I mean, you just say it. You just say, I painted that car. It looks fantastic. Like, come on, man.
It's a beaut. It's a beaut. Actually, most creative, or I don't know if it's creative's the right word, most fear-inspiring is definitely my brother Matt's livery. Imagine those shark jaws in your rear view mirror as you're braking down to the turn 1 at this track. It's not something you want to see.
I'm gonna quote your brother here for a second. He says, "Why do our cars have a shark mouth?" Well, you see, everyone seemed terrified after season 2 of me, so I figured I would use it to my advantage and make my car as scary and noticeable. Now everyone gets thrown off when they see me in their mirrors, and it makes it easy to pass them. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And there's the 3 car in pit road. That's Tuan Vanderbilt. So he is already a lap down. I'm gonna have to see. He's been stationary for quite some time there.
His front splitter was really banged up, so I think he might have had an incident further than what we were seeing.
By the way, I forgot to mention this. You're a soccer fan as well, Ray, so you'll get this one. Jack, I forgot to tell me he's rocking a sick Norwich City inspired theme this season with some Hodgkin's lymphoma awareness touches to it. So that's the inspiration for that Sprite car. It's not Sprite. It is Norwich City.
That makes a lot of sense. That's bang on for the colorways too. Speaking of soccer, I was at a match last night and I thought it was going to rain out, so I drove back home.
Oh, and Trace Hodges is around. Facing the wrong direction in the chicane. That is a dangerous place to loop it. But thankfully, it looks like mostly everybody's gotten through there without issue.
But no damage on Trace's car.
I'm showing him missing the entire engine cover on that car.
Oh, I didn't see that as a problem. He did get some help. There's a separate incident in front of him. He checked up for it, it looks like. And then he got some help from behind from Steve Lane to go all the way around. But Justin Robichaux had spun by himself up in front of that group. and then everybody else just avoided him. Very nice job, everybody.
And by the way, let's see if we can't take a look, something to note about the kinetic racing guys. Ray, you dropped an interesting. They've got Racing for John all over those race cars. Maybe you can tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so if you look at the 7 of Austin Petey, I believe his rear bumper or somewhere along the side of the car has a hashtag Racing for John on it. And I know Torres and some of the other kinetic cars have it as well. And their founder, I believe it was, of their team, John King, had passed away some time ago. So they're racing in memory of him.
Yeah, that's something. The community of iRacing is always very strong. I remember last season when Jack got his Hodgkin's lymphoma diagnosis. Multiple drivers all ran. You know, either they put the purple ribbon on their cars, or say, you know, just words of encouragement to Jack all throughout the grid. So people, you know, using iRacing both as a community, as a, you know, way to make friends and kind of just, you know, meet new people and everything like that, but also for a good cause. You can see the same on multiple. I'm trying to remember whose car it was. It was one of your brother's teammates who's got basically painted hands on the rear bumper of his car, signifying what has happened in up in Canada with that's Brian Sohn that's around once again. I'm trying to track down which driver it is that I'm talking about here to get more
Robichaux.
Content. Yeah, Justin Robichaux, you're right. He was talking about it for the some of the atrocities and unfortunate things that have been discovered up in Canada with I believe they're with some of the schools that happened back a couple of decades ago. So just, you know, drivers using any sort of platform that they are given to raise some awareness for the causes that they care a lot about, whether it's for charity. Ray, I know you were part of our team that did the 24 hours of Le Mans. Was it Le Mans or 24 hours of Daytona?
Daytona, in the top split.
Yeah, we were the top split of the 24 hours of Daytona, and we were doing it all for the Fox Foundation for.
Nice battle for the lead here.
Some side by side for the lead out of nowhere.
In between our that conversation about charity, we did lose the 33 of Tuan Vanderbilt. He spun out and hit a wall. And Seth Rawls significantly damaged the under tray of his car as he hopped over the curb and caught air in the last chicane, the rack chicane. And now we're watching the battle between Christian Challoner and Michael Janney. Christian has hung on to that lead, but he is sideways with that McLaren coming out of that corner. Michael's got a bit of a run. We also have just thinking about causes that we've supported. You know, Big Dog has supported Black Lives Matter. We've seen that on his car a lot, and there's a myriad of others. But yeah, definitely a lot of great things happening in this community. Chad, you know who I've had my eye on is Kevin Fanning has moved up the order past Matt Kingsbury, and I believe Taylor Carroll was in front of him as well. He's closing in on Austin Petey, and Kevin was getting much quicker towards the end of last season. He was really giving me a challenge at a few races in the end of the GTE when we were running those. He's a good driver, Kevin. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the podium by the end of the year.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of very talented guys in this field. I mean, we've got, of course, you know, Christian Challoner and Michael Janney, both of them over 6,000 iRating. We've seen appearances from guys like Philip Kraus, who is very well respected in multiple different, you know, categories of driving and everything like that. You know, just we've had some NASCAR Coke Series guys come on over. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, what kind of talent we can bring in here over the next couple of next couple of seasons, because it's a growing series and drivers getting more and more skilled as we continue. So definitely been fun to watch these guys, though. This is a look at the 54. That's Kevin Fanning. He's under a lot of pressure from your brother, from Matt Kingsbury. And man, Matt, he's always hungry to move up in positions.
Yeah, I would actually be surprised if we don't see him duck down pit road very shortly, because there's only got to be about 15 to 20 minutes left of fuel in the car. I'd really be shocked not to see him dive down and try to get some clean track out of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, clean racetrack. You see there's a lot of room behind him. Another taker down pit road. One of the brightest cars out there as well. I really like the look of this as it was being discussed in the Discord. So guys, oh, we got a battle for the lead side by side once again.
Janny keeps getting to the inside, but Christian has been holding that outside. But Janny's going to have the inside here. That outside's got such a nice run, though, but I think Christian's got him here. He does have him to the inside. He's got the overlap. He is clear. Christian looking for that undercut, though. We know how good Christian can be at setting up those undercuts, but Michael is clear, and Michael is setting some faster sectors here. Chad, do you think he's going to be able to break away, or do you think it's going to be sort of more of the same between these two of close racing?
Yeah, here's Jack Belton down pit road. Absolutely hammering the curbs. There was Michael Janney. We're going to have to see if he how he continues on through this race, because he hasn't been in clean air yet. And look how aggressive Christian is. He wants to get back by. He just has to find the way to do it. Christian Challoner now in the second spot, just doing everything he can to not lose touch with Janney. And I think that if you're Christian now, maybe you want to think about taking that pit stop and trying to get as fresh of a track as you possibly can.
Yeah, I would really think that it's going to be his only opportunity to pass that Porsche of Janney. I'm watching him down the long straightaways, and the Porsche gets such a nice launch out of the corners that it actually is holding a little bit more straightaway speed. Maybe down this main straight here is the only spot, but as you can see, Christian's struggling with front-end downforce. The McLaren does develop a, I don't want to say terminal understeer, but it does develop a significant amount of understeer in the draft on high-speed corners. But they are coming up on lap traffic here, as I believe that is Jack Belton comes out of the pit lane, and he has compromised his corner entry, but he is out of the way of the leaders.
Yeah, smart move there. Not the best entry for him. As long as he was stopped in pit road, I believe he must have taken tires, because he was in pit lane for a long time, it feels like. But either way, he got out of the way. No harm, no foul to the leaders. As there you see the battle for the lead still continuing. As they're about half a second now between Challoner and Janney.
You are correct, Chad. Jack Belton, I just took a look over to his pit crew, and they do have a set of tires on pit road that they just took off the car. They're a little blistered. They're not too bad. It just seemed like Jack felt more comfortable with the new set of shoes, and he thinks he can make the time back up on those that are not going to take tires. It's a risky call, but see if it works out for him and see if others take tires as well.
Yeah, Critchley down pit road. This is at the 28 of Milani. Yep, Milani working his way down pit road as well, pitting from 12th and 13th respectively. Gonna have to see where they cycle out. More and more drivers now. It seems like this is going to be when everybody takes their stop. Torres now 12 seconds out the back. So a lot of these guys are gonna end up making pit stops here, as Torres 6 seconds clear of Espedy for that third spot.
Asfaig Dennis, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Asfaig Dennis. He missed his box a couple times actually. Had to pull back into the box.
93 Dirt Sim Sport machine, Dirt Esport machine of Justin Robichaux. Currently, he went around there, and I don't think he hit anything. The nose of that car looks pretty clean, but definitely lost a bunch of positions there, as he was pretty far up the running order, but unfortunately lost a bunch of those positions now.
There is a battle on track between Kevin Morin and Curtis Critchley right now. It's pretty close. They are heading through Worth Corner right now. But Kevin just made a little bit of mistake. He's on, I believe, fresh tires or cold tires. And Cody Erdman is catching up to the back of that machine to try to make up another spot after having that spin earlier in the race.
Yeah, tire fall off doesn't seem to be too bad for some of the guys up front. Fastest lap of the race is Michael Janney with 146.185. Currently, his last lap was a 146.493. So only a couple of tenths for those guys compared to further down in the fields. Some guys are, let's say David Schofield, for example, he's going from a 147.6 to a 149 flat. So definitely just depending on how you're driving your car. Is that?
Matt Kingsbury did make the pass on Kevin Fanning. He is now in P5 and he is closing in on the back of Austin Espedy.
That's Kevin Morin, by the way, just got some contact to his car. He works his way now down pit road. He's going to be followed in there as well. So
Espedy is really struggling on his tires. I'm watching him push wide at apexes right now.
Yeah, he's down 0.6 of a second from his fastest lap. He's right on the back bumper of now finally getting around Jonathan Diggs, who is a lap down, but he's already made his pit stop. Or he has actually not made his pit stop. Something has happened to his car. There's a lot of guys now showing one lap down.
Oh, he just got hit by the shark.
Yeah, that's Matt Kingsbury in the 21. Popping over the radio to apologize.
Was it an apology, though?
I mean, you know him best. You are twins after all.
I think that was a passive-aggressive mic.
You have the, don't you have like the twin ESP thing going? You can kind of talk between your, like, without even saying words to each other.
It sounds like you're watching some strange shows on Netflix.
I mean, sure. I've actually just been watching a lot of shows on, I've been watching a lot of Taskmaster on YouTube. Would definitely recommend that show. Oh, wow. Christian Challenger, big wiggle there, as now he works his way down the back straightaway. I am surprised he caught that one. That slip angle was insane. By the way, Cody Erdman getting upset with somebody over the radio.
That was actually Cody Cosgrove. He was upset with Seth Rawls because Rawls was racing him while he was a lap down.
Not the first time we've seen drivers get heated in these series. Had to give out a formal warning to a driver on Monday for some radio conduct. Christian, I think he's really struggling out. He's 1.2 seconds back, pushing very, very hard to try to get back to Michael Janney and just losing time for it. But those two still have... Oh, and somebody backwards on pit lane. Is that Brian Sohn? I believe it is, yes. Locking up the brakes on pit entry. He's backs it into the wall now, and he's going to have to try to find his pit box. I mean, I guess if you're going to wreck out of the way of people, that's the place to do it.
That is indeed true. I'm looking at the handling of Challoner's car, and he's just fighting a little bit of a neutral tight in the front of his car, pushing through some of the apexes. His times have remained really consistent. He's just gotten a couple tenths slower over the course of his stint. He's really consistent. The difference is that Michael Janney has actually gotten a little bit faster. And I don't know if it's just that Porsche or it's just the way Michael was driving it or if Christian was actually holding him up, but Michael is setting sail.
By the way, Trevor Teal talking in the Twitch chat. So he's too scared to be running the IndyCar series, but he's signed up. That's 722 of Trevor Teal, not the 72. I believe that number was already taken, but he's going to be running with Sequential Esport there in the championship series. And a lot of these drivers that are running here will be running over there as well. Michael Janney still leads this race, so now by 1.6 seconds. That lead continuing to grow. Christian Challoner just struggling as these tires start to fall away.
Yeah, Matt Kingsbury has capitalized on his Porsche's pace advantage over the length of the stint here, and he has closed up on the front engine BMW of Austin Espedy, who has indeed dropped about half a second a lap on tires. Espedy is heading down the pit lane. Maybe he just doesn't want to battle Matt. That's a safe bet.
We were talking about pitting for clean track. With the way that the field is strung out at this point, it's going to be very difficult to find clean track anywhere as Austin Espedy now comes down pit road. He is now in his box to make his one pit stop for the race.
Do you think it's important to mention at this point, we were just talking about Austin Espedy's car and also a few of the other Kinetic cars. You'll notice they have the Majors Garage sticker on their liveries. Recently, NASA actually partnered with Majors Garage. We're powered by the Majors Garage, and we're going to provide one annual subscription to a lucky member of this league. And the eligibility will be a random drawing, and anybody who has driven an over 20 races out of our 3 series this season will win that subscription, which is available. It basically provides you setups for all the cars you could need in iRacing for a year. So that's pretty good. Anything from Rallycross to IndyCar to GTs.
And that's the 8 of Asphalt Dennis turned around on track, or my feed has stopped. One of the two. Something's going on with my computer right now. Everything is broken. No, we are okay. For some reason, my Discord locked up for a second, but we're good. So anyway, this is a look there at Asphalt Dennis. Currently 18th, just logging some laps out there. It's great to see a bunch of new drivers here. I believe about a third of the field, it looks like, are new to the series. But we've got some familiar faces up at the front. Janny Challoner, Matt Kingsbury, Kevin Fanning, your top 5, with Austin Espedy and Taylor Carroll right there as well. So some very familiar names, as now Kevin Fanning's going to pit from the 5th position.
I would not be surprised if we see Matt Kingsbury stay out as long as possible on those tires, and same with Taylor Carroll. They both have clean air now, and there's nobody around them that is challenging them pace-wise. So I think we're going to see them stay out and try to set some fast laps and work their way past the cars that were kind of just in front of them that just pitted to try to get some clean track. Matt is running a pretty good pace. I don't think he has anything for Mark Torres. Mark's a couple tenths a lap faster than him, but we don't really know. Maybe that Lamborghini's going to have some fall off and we'll see a battle. The closest battle on track, it seems, is still Challoner versus Janny. It is a little bit spread out now, but I'm sure it'll reignite at some point.
Yeah, just waiting for pit stops to cycle through. It looks like Kevin Fanning pitting from the 5th spot, going to drop all the way down to 11th as he cycles through. So he's got some work to do to get those spots back. About 10 laps to go as well as what I'm being shown here. Just over 17 minutes, so coming up on 3/4 distance as well.
Chad, you know who just broke into the top 10?
Me.
Big Dog. Big Dog's in the top 10.
Big Dog for us. I wish I remembered how we even came up with that nickname, but he's in the top 10. He has yet to make his stop, however. So
okay, that's bad, Big Dog. You got to go a little faster than that, buddy.
Big Dog got some bite. Yeah, so he's leading a train of cars from 11th, or now 10th, I guess, on back to 17th.
Oh, he's breaking the draft. Look at him go.
He's swerving. I think that he hears us giving him a shout out, and he's just kind of waving to his fans back at home.
Or maybe he's telling Tim Brokaw behind him he's pitting.
Could be that as well. Usually drivers just stick their hand out the window, but I guess or wave, but you can't really do that in these, can you?
No, and the driver chat has been muted to prevent any sort of distraction. Yeah, I was wrong. Big Dog stayed out on the track.
Yeah, he was just saying hi to he's just saying hi, Mom. By the way, that's Brian Stone in front of him. That's a lap down. And he's got a bunch of damage to his race car, so unfortunate to see, but Somebody now making their way down pit road. That's Cody Cosgrove into the 67.
So we were talking about strategy and fuel strategy, and I'm thinking Matt did make the right move. He just ran a 147.3. Austin was in front of him and pitted, and Austin's last lap was a 148.0. So I think the added fuel is slowing him down just a little bit. And Cody's having a little bit of a tough time today. He's been around a couple times.
In the words of Marshawn Lynch, he's just here so he doesn't get fines. Oh, and that's right in front of your leader as well. Not the best of rejoins. That had to be scary if you were Michael Janney and Christian Chandler coming up on that. Oh, and very wide there. I like to think of that corner. It's a long, sweeping right-hander. It reminds me a lot of the Parabolica, but in just a very, very wide radius corner, just sweeps through onto a long straightaway.
Oh, we've got a battle. Track. Jack Belton and Jules Milani are battling for P16 right now. Belton did put those new set of Pirellis on. His times are in the 147s. So those are faster than his first stint, where he was mostly in the 48s.
David Schofield as well does pit from now the 6th position, so he's going to drop back through the field. Still top 5, though, is Janney, Challoner, Torres, Kingsbury, Carroll. All of them yet to pit. A couple other guys still have not pitted. Kieran Big Dog Forrest now working his way down pit road. Herbier, as well as Crutchley, and a couple of other drivers have yet to pit here in this race.
Yeah, I did notice Schofield did not take tires. It'll be interesting to see if he can use.
And here comes Christian pitting from P2.
It'll be interesting to see if he can use what's left on those tires to try to reel in some of the cars ahead of him, Fanning and Espedy. He has made up some ground, but I don't know if he's made up enough. And with Challoner going in now, maybe that undercut might allow him to gain a little bit on Janney.
Yeah, working his way down towards the end of pit lane. He's got that #1 pit stall, as he is now in his box, not going to take any tires, it looks like.
No, and you know, depending how much fuel they have to add, that could make the stop significantly shorter.
Yeah, 9.8 seconds the stop for Challoner, compared to some guys that pitted earlier. For example, Kieran Forrest, he stopped for 12 seconds. Brokaw, 14. 17 seconds for Cody Cosgrove. So he definitely took a very short pit stop. Maybe he's just more efficient with his car, but there's something about it that that's a significant amount of fuel that didn't get put into that race car.
Right, and I'm thinking in the back of my head, Michael Janney was sitting in the draft of Christian Challoner pretty much for 40 minutes. Was there a reason for that? Was he thinking maybe I could save a couple seconds on pit road and just pass him in the pits? I actually hear Michael Janney pushing the clutch in the braking zones. Is Michael Janney saving fuel to make this on a no-stopper?
That would be incredible. Gonna have to see how that plays out. Can he do it? He's got a considerable lead now. The 10-second stop for Christian Challoner. He's gonna drop pretty far back through the field, as there's a couple guys that have still yet to make their stop. He's gonna actually only drop back to, I believe, 4th?
Michael Janney.
Here comes Michael Janney coming in. Maybe he was just trying to stretch the extra lap out there.
Yeah, I think that's probably more accurate. He probably didn't want to run out on the track, and he probably wanted to go the extra lap on the fuel. That was a really fast lap, considering it was an in-lap.
By the way, the one of Christian Challoner now going through that last chicane. Michael Janney just now getting to his pit stall. But there is the 21 of Matt Kingsbury in the way, as now he makes his way into his pit stall. So
Janney's boxing out.
Yep, leaving his box now is Michael Janney. Christian Challoner at speed. So he's gonna maintain his lead, but I believe the gap might have come down just a little bit from what it was before. As now Mark Torres into pit lane as well. Matt Kingsbury pits. So just about everybody, couple drivers, Crutchley, Erdman, Belton, Milani, Dennis, Diggs, and Hodges have all yet to stop. Only one driver out of the race so far as well. That's Tuan Vanderbilt, as we approach 10 minutes left in this first race of the 2021 season.
I see 3 Livewire SimSport cars in a row. Michael Janney's in the front of them.
Now, is this just a Livewire SimSport? Is this their practice session, or is this the race?
I think this is the race. They're looking good, though. I think this is to Michael's advantage. I don't mean to say that they let Michael pass easier than they're going to let Christian pass, but I am kind of saying that. I mean, I'm saying I would do the same thing.
Yeah, that's Steve Lane and Cody Cosgrove back behind him. If I remember right, was Steve Lane last season, was that Team Matco Tools, is that correct?
He was with Team Matco Tools, and I know he wanted to get Livewire SimSports back operational. So he decided to branch off and do his own thing. I know they were in talks with Lamborghini to field a car for that. They had a livery worked up and everything ready to go. And Michael Janney, they managed to talk him into coming on board on the team. And they made the switch over to Porsche, which is Michael's favorite car. If I had known that, I myself may have convinced Kieran and Brandon to run the Porsche. That's a hot prospect to get in your car. That puts you immediately in chances of winning the Constructors' Championship.
And who was Janney with last season?
He was with it was Fiercely Forward Spark Glass Lap Motorsports. So we Josh Clogg and I, who were teammates under Spark Glass Lap Motorsports, we brought Michael Janney in under Fiercely Forward, and we ran a collaborative team. You probably remember the 3 McLarens we had out there last year. Well, there was a bunch of other McLarens too, but they ran the Fiercely Forward, the yellow and black Lions, and I ran the white and red Spark car. And we took that was our 3rd Constructors' Championship in a row, I believe, for Last Lap Motorsports.
Yeah, and Christian Chandler did get through those 2 Livewire SimSports cars without issue. So now he's got about a 4-second gap up to Michael Janney. He's going to need to pull off a miracle here in the last 8 minutes to make up a couple of spots. This is battle for, I believe, the 5th position. That's between Espedy and Fanning.
Chad, we go to Road America next week in the IndyCar Series, next Wednesday, the Arcade Designs Championship Series, actually. Are you looking forward to that race? I know you were potentially testing a few cars to see if you might be able to earn a seat or
yeah.
such. Do you think you'll be racing, or do you think you'll be in the box?
Nope, I'll be up here in the booth. You've seen me drive race cars. You know I'm no good at it. I'm here.
The race cars definitely drive you, my man.
I'll say the only open wheeler I'm really good at driving, as you know from me beating you over in the PM18 series. So I'll never let that one time I beat you slip your mind.
You'll never know if I intentionally let you win, I guess.
I mean, I let you pass me to lead a lap, so you get your bonus point, and
that was some good strategy right there.
That's teamwork, is what it's called.
I certainly did not let you win. You know I would never do that. Winning races is very important to me. That was a great setup we had together for that race.
I only spent 8,000 laps at Bristol trying to get that thing dialed in, and you came in, made it that much better, and we ran away with it. But back to the racing that we're watching here live. This is a 54 of Fanning on board, looking out the nose at the back wing of Austin Espedy. And Espedy doing what he can to get that top 5. And I'm trying to remember, was Espedy racing? Has he raced in the series before? He
attempted 2 seasons ago when we started the GT/GT3 split. He was in the pro class in a Corvette GTE. He didn't make it through the first round. He was having computer issues and couldn't return for the rest of the series. But he was there in a Team Talent Corvette.
There you see one of the Livewire SimSports machines of Steve Lane trying to get back pointed the right direction. He finally does, and he's going to fall to at least 19th, I think 18th now.
Ooh, this is an opportunity for Fanning. Espedy just got held up by his teammate, Jonathan Diggs, and Fanning got through real quick. There's a chance for him to slipstream down this straightaway here and close the gap. And if I do say so myself, Kevin has been driving real good.
Yeah, according to Character 4 in chat, and I have to agree, Kevin Fanning has to be one of the most improved drivers in the time I've been following the series. I absolutely agree. And we've seen a lot of drivers improve their racecraft throughout racing here in the Penguin RC simulation sports car series with powered by Nitro Circus. And yeah, I mean, we've got, you know, got to thank all of our sponsors that have come on board. We of course have Penguin RC, Nitro Circus for letting us use their Twitch, ASN of course, and our drop dead gorgeous producer Zack Johnson joined us in the booth this season. He looks so good over there pushing all of his buttons and flipping switches, and I have to figure out what they do for when I produce later this season.
Oh, Kevin's around.
Oh, and right in front of a couple of drivers, holds the brakes. Oh, wow, that was close.
Oh, careful, Kevin. There's still people coming.
Wow, there was some close calls. Just talking about how much he'd improved. The commentator's curse, unfortunately, going to cost him a little bit there. Only losing one spot, and that was a Taylor Carroll, but that car, those tires got to be hot right now.
Yeah, you know, he's digging. He was trying to get the most out of it. I can't blame him. There's only about one more lap left on this race. After that one, you got to go for it.
Yeah, I'm showing approximately 34 laps to be run here. Leaders now working lap number 32. And we're down to only 14 cars on the lead lap. Kieran Big Dog Forrest is actually just one lap down. So Jack Belton, the last car on the lead lap, currently running in the 13th position.
Well, Chad, we're headed into the last. I think this is the last lap of the race here, and
yeah, we got some time, man. We got plenty of time here.
Why am I seeing it's 59 minutes in?
Because the sim will account for the grid time.
Gotcha.
Pay attention to timing and scoring, sir. We have the feed for a reason.
Here I am thinking Kevin is making the move of his life. Maybe that was a little preemptive, Kevin. You know what's impressing me is the gap between Challoner and Torres. That just tells you how fast these front two are. They put a 23-second gap on the next car. Because after that, it's pretty tight.
Well, even Torres is 15 seconds in front of Matt Kingsbury. But
yeah.
Further down, let's look back at that battle for 5th spot. Espedy and Carroll now within about half a second of each other.
Oh, Matt just looped it, and Brian is off the track in front of him. Maybe somebody put ice down in that corner.
The track is wet.
Taylor.
The track is wet.
This might be a pretty insane battle for that 5th position.
And by the way, that's one thing to note as well. Rain possibly coming to iRacing here pretty soon. When do we get our first rain race here in the series?
We run random weather. Oh, a little bit of a block there from Espedy.
He's alongside
Taylor's there. He's
Taylor
got
on the
corner
curves,
right,
but can't get the exit. Wow, what a fantastic move. So all three cars are those are all for position. That's Espedy, then Carroll, then Kingsbury. Kingsbury, of course, lost 2 spots during his spin just a little while ago. So those three battling for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Oh, and very aggressive Taylor Carroll with those curves.
I am having some microphone issues, Chad. My mic is staying wide open, so I think you're going to have to take over until I can get that sorted out.
That's a-okay. I can do my best as we've got 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go. Drivers should be taking the white flag this time by for your leader, Michael Jenny, working his way now down the backstretch as he has got a monster 7-second lead over Christian Challoner. But this battle here for the 4th spot is still the one to follow. Austin Espedy looks like having some connection issues. You see that car blinking as another driver. That has got to be very distracting because you're going into a braking zone here. You're not sure where the other car is. And if you're Taylor Carroll, you have to be aware of that, but also you still have to be aggressive and try to make your move. as here comes your leader, Michael Janney, taking the white flag at Barcelona to kick off the 2021C season here.
Taylor's going for it. Espedy is to the outside.
Inside.
Oh, is this going to be a double overtake? What a move by Taylor Carroll. He closed the door, and Matt is looking on the other side of him now.
Now we're going to switch back to a right-hander. Matt gives him plenty of room, not going to take the spot. So now that puts Taylor Carroll up into P4. Kingsbury tried to follow him through, but could not do so. Very aggressive through the chicane is Matt Kingsbury, but can't get anything done. Can he get the run off the corner now? Through the final corner. Here's the white flag, and he's currently in the 6th spot. He wants that top 5. I know how competitive of a driver he is. We're going to have to see if he can't get the move done here at the end of the race.
Well, with Espedy's lag, there's no way for Matt to know where he is when he does that. So hopefully that doesn't play a factor, but when you're driving for a position like this, sometimes you just got to go for it, and I have a feeling Matt's just going to go for it here.
And he's going for it right now. He's the long side on exit. Next corner is back to the right as well. Matt Kingsbury will have the preferred line there, but can he get cleared because they're going to go quickly into a left-hander after this one. Matt Kingsbury almost there. There is some net code, very, very close there, but Matt Kingsbury back up into the top 5.
If he doesn't run it off the track again.
Yeah, he had a 4th spot locked in. Unfortunately, we saw him loop it. He's up to the 4th spot. Out of the final corner, though, comes Michael Janney, and he's going to win the opener at Barcelona.
Well done by Michael. What a drive. I mean, he put a significant gap on Christian Challoner.
Yeah, there you see Challoner now out of the final corner, about 10 seconds back. Just absolutely roasted those tires, and unfortunate that it didn't pay off for him. Mark Torres got the 3rd spot just about locked up as he takes it out of the final corner and across the line. But this battle still for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And Taylor Carroll, a couple of car lanes now clear of Kingsbury and Espedy, currently running 5th and 6th. Fanning pretty close to having that 7th spot locked up, barring any mistakes for him. But these 3 are going to come across the line. 4th is Carroll, 5th is Kingsbury, 6th Espedy. And the battle for 10th is now heating up as well. This is Brokaw. Brokaw in the 97 there, as well as Curtis Critchley. Critchley with Team Watson Racing. Going to get that spot, and he was doing everything he can to just hang on through the chicane. Critchley out of the final corner on the last lap, and Team Watson Racing going to get its first top 10 here in Barcelona.
That was a really good drive by Curtis. He was
making his series debut. Yeah, up 9 spots. Other big movers, Brokaw was up 4 spots. Big Dog up 6 spots as well. Jules and Milani up 5 spots. So a lot of guys making a lot of fantastic moves. But your winner is Michael Janney here in today's race. These guys absolutely putting on a spectacular debut as we get set to just getting things started here in the 2021 season. Ray, you mentioned earlier Road America in where am I going with this? In the championship series. Yes, Road America next week there. This I think we go to Brands Hatch next week.
Yeah, no, we're at Hell for in Norway for the
for Rallycross.
Yeah.
But in this series, I believe it's Brands next. Is that correct?
Is it Brands? I didn't even know we were going to Brands this season.
Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't have the schedule here in front of me.
I think we're going to the Red Bull Ring, aren't we?
That might be it as well. I'll have to get a nice beverage on hand for that one.
I shall not. As you know, I do not like Red Bull.
I've only had Red Bull mixed into other drinks, but
it's an ethical thing at this point. As a New York City FC fan, I can't like anything Red Bull.
Man, yeah, I mean, your sports rivalries run deep, I guess.
We're gonna call it the A1 ring. Isn't that the original name of it?
No, that's steak sauce.
That's a good steak sauce too. Well, this was a great race. Michael, truly masterclass performance. What a battle he had with Christian throughout. My prediction was right. Michael got it.
Yeah,
I honestly just chose him just not to choose Christian.
That was a fantastic drive. And you know what? I'm not entirely surprised by that, though, based on how they were running in practice. Janny had the fastest time in practice, and then I think Christian went over to QSET to get the fastest time there.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
Yep, just waiting a couple of moments here for a couple of drivers to join, and I guess we'll start out with our second place finisher, Christian Challoner, joining us here in the booth. Christian, very shocking result. I don't think we've seen anybody get that far ahead of you in the series in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, Michael was just better. That's really all there was to it. I was honestly shocked that he didn't beat me to the pole because I felt like he could have at least got down to a 45 flat. I felt like I could have probably got down to 45-1, maybe a flat on a great day. But in the race, it was pretty clear to me right from the go, to be honest, that he was going to be quicker. My plan was basically to just try and hold on to him and hope that he destroyed rear tires more than I did. And to be honest, they just drove the car wrong. With the McLaren, you can't really gain any pace by hustling it. And I was ahead of him, and I was trying to hustle it, and I kept flipping around with traction control and whatnot, and changing brake bias and all that. And to be honest, I should have just figured out what I did about 4 laps before the pit stop, which is that to just totally forget that he was there and try and drive it like I normally would. And when I started doing that before the pit stop, I held him steady, but the problem was that at that point, damage is already done, tires are already dead. And I mean, at the end, I think he had, let me just check because he messaged me. Yeah, he said he had 49% left on his left rear, and I had 34%. I basically killed my own tires, and that was it. Wasn't fast enough. Tried to overdrive the car, and yeah, lost. Doesn't feel great, but it's actually a fun deal. I've missed racing Michael, so it was a good battle.
Were you having a little trouble on some of the faster corners? It looked like you were having a little push through the center and the front of the car, especially when you were behind Michael with the aero wash. Did it have anything to do with your tires falling off, or?
Yeah, balance was terrible. Low speed understeer, high speed oversteer, and it was never going to end well. And it was okay for qualifying, and that was probably where the start of the mistake happened. I ran that lap in queue, and I was like, you know what, that's all right. And I just filled it up and went, okay, race now. And it was probably the wrong thing to do. And I even said to some of my team guys who I've managed to bring it in the leagues, the Kinetic guys are all guys I've known for a long while. So Mark Torres with a really good race third, and Austin and stick. Then Vince, I know he had some issues, but he came in 8th, so that was pretty cool. John, he unfortunately was 1 lap down, but it was a fun time. It was good to hang out with those guys again. But anyway, sidetrack totally. Yeah, so that was the problem. Even said to those guys, I'm not sure this is a great idea. I raced it anyway, and yeah, pretty much 5 laps in, I realized it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, having driven McLaren last season, fuel load is a huge part of getting the balance right on that car.
And Christian, 3 manufacturers in 3 seasons for you. Does that impact your driving at all?
Yes, it does. But if I'm honest, things that I can't talk about right now probably impact my driving more. that means that it's not these cars are always in a constant state of dev and whatnot. So what I'm necessarily racing here is not actually what I'm fully accustomed to, so to speak. And that probably had some impact here tonight. I'll say that.
you insiders and your NDAs, man.
It's yeah, exactly. But it's still good fun, and that's really the reason why I jumped to a different car, because obviously in season 1, the reason I wanted to run the BMW was because at the time it seemed like people didn't really think it was a great car, and I kind of felt the opposite. And we have tweaked on it some, so that has some impact to it. But people really are racing it a lot more now, so I kind of feel like it sort of always was a good car, and people just had to learn it. Obviously, season 2, I was trying to figure out why people love the Audi so much, and I obviously won a lot with it, but the McLaren is more fun. I mean, it really is. Like, don't get me wrong, did not want to finish 10 seconds behind and have absolutely no rear tires left on the car, but that was a lot more fun for me personally to drive. And yeah, hopefully over the course of the season, I'll just continue to get better with it, and it'll kind of be the same deal. I mean, I'll be back for season 4 of this year, I guess, in a different car again. So it's all good fun.
Well, hey, congratulations on your second place finish. As we wrap things up here, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to you guys, Broadcasting League, obviously everybody involved in running the league. I'm a little bit sad that we're not doing a sprint and an inverted feature, but you know, it was still pretty fun. It was a different deal. Obviously we haven't had in-race pit stops in the past 2 seasons I've raced, so it was cool. And I mean, that was another area where Michael was just simply way better. I watched one of his pit entries in practice. Even messaged him. I was like, "You can do that?" Because he was cutting off all the red and white on entry, and I didn't even know that you could do that. So I think it was 2 seconds behind coming in and 4 seconds behind coming out. So he was just better in every area, and that's why I won. You know. But yeah, cool, different format, good series. Good to see 26 people here, and yeah, be back next week.
Sounds good, Christian. Get your tablet fixed so I can watch your stream again. All right.
I will try.
That's Christian Challenger, second place finisher for Team iRacing. Now let's jump to your winner, Michael Janney. Michael, what a debut here this season.
Hey guys, glad to be back in here. Thanks for having me. It's been a lonely 4-5 weeks, I think. Not having a weekly league to race was well, I found myself kind of wondering what to do with my time. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Well, it's clear you hit the practice sessions pretty hard, taking a victory by 10 seconds.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I did a lot of prep this week for tire management because I knew that, number one, the Porsche doesn't really handle tires that well. In fact, compared to the other GTs, it tends to wear earlier. And then I knew Barcelona being Barcelona that it was going to shred my tires, so figured that the best avenue was to try to save them the best I could. A little bit of fuel saving as well behind Christian there. Got me an extra lap, which from a little bit of prior experience, I knew that if I were able to get an extra lap on Christian coming out of the pit lane, it would be 2.5-3 seconds difference just because of the nature of the circuit. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great to see cars back out on track here. So I had a perfect question lined up for you, and then I completely lost it. Oh, I remember now. We started out here with multi-class GTEs and GT3s, and then we switched to just having a single class with the sprint and the feature. This is now the third format in the league. What does the pit stop in the 1 hour race kind of change for you?
I love it. I think it adds a crazy amount of strategy. Some of the later tracks coming in the season, you can kind of undercut people, you can overcut people. There's a lot of, it almost reminds me of like a ballet, because if you can execute the pit entry, the pit exit while you're in the pit lane and the stop with the correct amount of fuel, you can gain so much time on your opponents. So I love this format. Honestly, out of every format we've done, I think this is definitely the one that has clicked for me. I really, really enjoy it.
I think you just like not having to start the feature in 7th or 8th every time.
Well, no, I really like that. But on some of the tracks, I really disliked it. I'm not going to lie. But, you know, honestly, coming back out there and fighting with Christian again was so much fun. Like, honestly, I messaged him after the race, and we were talking and, you know, wishing each other, you know, great race and everything. And we both commented about how much we missed fighting each other over the break, because it's honestly great. The respect that's shown, like, every time I tried to make a move, he gave me plenty of room. It was respectful. The position was, you know, up for debate on who would get the better exit, and it's like, that's what racing's all about. That's what makes it a blast, honestly. So it's a lot of fun.
I'll say you've got some fans in Twitch chat as well. DriveDead12 says awesome to see Michael winning by such a great length. Great job. So you've got your fans out there in Twitch land, man. As we wrap things up here, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I gotta thank Steve for reaching out to me for Livewire Sim Sports because I didn't have a teammate coming into this season. So our collaboration with their team and then Drive Dead Racing, hence our really sick split livery. It's been a great time, and then Sim Experience as well for sponsoring us, and yeah, family for watching as always, and anyone supporting me on Twitch and stuff like that. So, oh, and yeah, of course, thanks for you guys for doing the broadcast.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us up here in the booth, and congratulations on the perfect start to your 2021 C campaign.
Woohoo. All right, thanks, guys. Pleasure as always.
That's Michael Janney, winner here tonight in Barcelona. And we got one final interview of the night. Mark Torres. Mark, podium finish here to make your season debut. How does it feel? Mark, you got a copy?
Sorry about that, guys. I had it on mute.
All right.
Yeah, bit of a boring race for me. I wasn't really around anybody after the first couple laps when Michael passed me and Christian and him took off, and I just kind of sat in no man's land, but was happy to just put together some clean laps and take home a podium.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a very different race compared to what we normally see here with how spread out the field was. You kind of mentioned it, how spread out it was and how you weren't really racing anybody, but we saw a bunch of cars either loop it in front of you or around you guys. Was it kind of just playing damage control at that point, trying to stay out of trouble?
There was definitely a point where you could tell people's, well, I think the BMW is front limited, but like me and Christian and probably Michael, at some point, the rears just started feeling pretty sketch. So, at that point, there was probably a little bit more chaos going on, but for me, I think I was 20 seconds behind and 20 seconds ahead. So I basically saw no action until people started pitting. But, most of the guys let me by that were kind of behind me on track. And yeah, not much action. But like I said, happy to be on the podium either way.
Yeah, it wasn't the best in terms of competition wise for you, but your first race here in the NASA Sports Car Series. What are your thoughts on the level of competition here?
Oh, it's great. Racing Christian is always difficult, obviously. I've never met Michael, but he is super quick. He was putting down some fast laps, especially all the way at the end. But yeah, no, it's a nice mix. And I think the track list looks pretty enticing. So I think it'll be a good season for sure.
Yeah, Red Bull Ring next week. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. For sure there'll be quite a bit of drafting, I would think. So I think you'll see probably a bit more action all over the place.
Yeah, and as we wrap things up here on the broadcast, anybody you want to thank? Any shout outs for you?
Yeah, for sure. My team Kinetic. I used the baseline set, so I guess I'll thank Christian for making that for me. And for always, John King, our leader, who left us earlier this year. So just a big shout out to him. Hope he was watching that and smiling.
I'll say it's a performance to be proud of here with such stiff competition. So congratulations on the podium, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks a lot, guys.
That's Mark Torres, a third place finisher here from Barcelona. So as we wrap things up here, Ray, any final thoughts from you?
I have a lot of thoughts. The first one is, how in the world did I ever beat Michael Janney in a sports car? Because he is fast. The second one is, wow, what a great start to the season. I'm excited to see this Michael and Christian battle that I think is going to happen play out. But I'm also interested to see if anybody else can get up there and make it challenging, especially at Red Bull Ring where, there's a lot of draft and a lot of close action usually. I think maybe we'll see some other contenders up at the front next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one as we go to another new track to the Penguin RC Sports Car Challenge as we take on the Red Bull Ring in 1 week's time. But that's going to end the broadcast here for Ray Kingsbury and our absolutely incredible new producer, Zack Johnson, here in the booth. For everybody here at NASA with Josh Mertz, Kieran Forrest, and everybody on board, as well as everybody over at Nitro Circus for allowing us to take over their Twitch a couple hours a week. We have to thank everybody on board, as well as our sponsors, Penguin RC, Nitro Circus, Majors Garage, Area 52 Designs, 90-something Studios, RK Designs, everybody out there. So many sponsors, so many people to thank. And, you know what? We have to thank you for watching as well. But for Ray, Zach, and myself, it's been a fun one. We'll see you next week from the Red Bull Ring.